Greetings, everyone. Today's topic is about environment and why that's so important in terms of mental health. And I'm talking about not just external environment, but internal environment. What can one do when they have no control over their external environment in terms of where they live and experience? So I want to start with this quote that I just posted. So it says, those who cannot change their breath pattern do not notice some of the chains holding them down. Different breath patterns give the body new environmental shifts to expose weaknesses and strengths. Now, I'm sure when some of you have been on vacation or a place that is so tranquil, you said, oh, it's like a breath of fresh air, right? Hold a connection to that moment as long as you can, because that moment ripples. It really does, especially if you have such a heavy contrast when coming from a dense environment that doesn't have the best harmony, so to speak. And this will be week number 2 out of week 10, and we're on a 10-week mental breathwork journey. This week was expansion, and some people had a little bit of issues, but most people, everyone in general actually, had great turnout and focus. And one in particular, she said that her mom is somewhat triggering, right? And she didn't find her as triggering in a conversation that would usually end up not so great, so to speak. So it goes to ask the question, sure, do your breath work in the sit down session, but how are you breathing when you're around people? How are you utilizing not just the inhale and exhale? Like I said, there's mental breath work, there's color breathing, there's all these different factors that lies in communication beyond the verbal. Remember, 90% of communication, 80 to 90% of communication is non-verbal. It's all body language. And if it's all mostly body language, what is the vehicle? What is the engine, so to speak, giving the body life? The breath. So if we can utilize different breath mechanics and different breath energies, so to speak, then we can have an expansive view of our experiences and a deeper connection to our experiences in our everyday lives, in a sense. And I'm going to go over some of the main factors that will be talked about in the mental breathwork journey. And if you're interested in joining, tap into the Breath Family Members Group. Link is in the link you can find on theblackairBender.info, and you just go to the members group. It's like right there. So let's start with, let's see, it's a good thing I formatted this. Culture and values in terms of let's say in terms of that isolating feeling, in that sense, in terms of you're bringing a different viewpoint into certain conversations that is so out of tune, in a sense, and they're not connected, in a sense. And that in itself plays a huge role on I'm just reading some of the comments. A huge role on our mental patterns and breath patterns in general. So positive associations in the environment, such as family, keepsake, photos, or familiarity, can boost mood and a sense of connection. So we can actually utilize that. So let's say, someone, if not everyone is close with their families, that's understandable. I know some people here are black sheeps, if you want to call them that, and that is totally relatable in that sense. Like, shoot, I just did breath work with my dad for the first time, actually, in a couple days ago, and that was so powerful because you could feel the energetic connection there, the string, if you will. No matter how subtle it was so there. So I heavily encourage you guys, because out of most of my family, it was mainly my uncle. My uncle is literally the only one that was more open in that sense. And now my dad is listening to like Sadhguru and so many other like-minded beings in that sense. And finally coming around to this type of knowledge. It's a beautiful thing. This is how we break generational curses, and it starts with you being the example. You can't force. I do not recommend forcing it, because I've tried forcing it for over 7+ years on them, and they're finally making their own path. And when they ask for help, don't be like, hey, I told you so, this and that. Just meet them where they're at. Don't let any energy of discouragement come into play, because that, like, what's the point? Always have a growth mindset, a growth intention. Forget the mindset, but just intentional wise. Let's see. All right, the next one we're going to do is aesthetics. Ooh, this is a big one. Cluttered spaces. Of course, the cleaner your environment, the cleaner your mental health in general, right? A great tip I can give everyone is getting in the habit of looking up. No, seriously, looking up. Get in the habit of looking up whenever you can. Look up. It'll change your whole perception of your whole day and the direction it's going to. Because when you look up, do you see clutter? You see a whole array of space. You see a whole array of divine, if you will, sacred geometric patterns made from the wind, no matter if some of the clouds are by harp, if you want to put it like that. Ola got in here on time. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, we're gonna do a mini breathwork session at the end, and maybe give you guys a little direction in the mental breathwork, a little sneak peek of what we've been doing the past first week. So remember, this week is expansion. Next week, I haven't decided yet. All depends on everyone. But expansion has done wonders, and have some people saying that, Devon, this feels like a mystery school. I don't want to put it like that, but you could say so. At the ascension, not retreat, the ascension, some people were calling me shaman. I'm like, I'm just sharing my truth. That's all I'm doing. Let's just focus more on the energy than the labels as much as we can. Because the more we focus on the energy goes beyond the words, goes beyond the labels, and you have such a deeper connection in the whole environmental experience. Now, the mental breathwork showed a lot of people, and newcomers in the members group as well, that a lot of people in today's society are viewing breath in a one-dimensional way, when there's a whole array of bodies that we carry, from the auric body to the environmental body. And what I mean by environmental body, well, let's tap into what we have about light. Where is it? Boom. The lighting, temperature, sound, smells, color patterns are very important of how comfortable, relaxed, and safe you feel. Now, this is all pertaining into mental health in general, in terms of our environmental resonance. If you're just joining here, this is what we're touching upon, and how the next 9 weeks now, because we're on week number 2. I'm just repeating for those that are just joining. We are tapping into the aspect of mental breathwork, and we'll definitely do something at the end. So, going back to the lighting, just like how I was telling everyone, the lighting you are in affects you dramatically in terms of your melanin receptors. Your melanin reads light. So if you're in artificial lighting, most of the time, I guarantee you have high cortisol levels if you're not tuned into your breath. And that's why breathing patterns within certain environments is so crucial for the overall workplace in general, and how one can really shift their internal environment so the external environment can only do so much, right? What's going on, Joe? What's going on, brother? So going back to the internal environment and why that's so important, because we can only do so much to our external environment, no matter where you are, no matter how remote you are, right? You know, there's certain places in the world, like certain places of Tibet, that China is, for some reason, this is still not talked about as much, but China is still invading certain parts of the world that are peaceful, real peaceful parts, right? And it actually pushed some of these monks who have no control over what's happening, because obviously you can say China's coming in for the scrolls, just like what's happening in Ukraine. Little do people know about Ukraine that Ukraine has the oldest pyramids in there. I think they found the oldest pyramids, and it became more public around 2016. So some people say that has something to do with it in that sense. Yes, Ukraine has the oldest pyramids in the world. You can go look this up. Bless up, bless up, bless up. So, you know, these monks, and I have a friend that that has experienced this. You know, the older elders, you know, when you see China invading and stuff like that, so they say, hey, we have no control. I think it's time we push out our knowledge, so to speak. So go travel all over the world and spread the knowledge as much as possible, because who knows what happens. Who knows what will happen to some of these temples that hold some of the most sacred scrolls known to man that has yet to see public eyes, so to speak. And some of these scrolls hold a lot of ancient wisdom, but not only wisdom, just record keeping in general. You can call it like the Vatican in that sense. So, you know, they had no control of their external environment, but their internal environment, they knew how powerful it is to share in terms of their knowledge and spreading that energetic resonance that can help other people, no matter how much pressure the external environment was giving. So just like you saw about those environmental factors, right? And you should look at all those environmental factors from sensory, lighting, space. Look at them as environmental bodies, just like we live in a celestial body, right? Down to the human skin, down to the universe, a universal body, right? So what gives the body, down to the physical body, let's start with the physical body. What gives the physical body animation of life? You can say prana, you can say chi, ki, however you want to describe it, they're all the same thing. Breath, right? When you have no breath in this body, the body is no longer animated. It's gone. It ceased to animate, because the soul is traveling elsewhere, in a sense. That's why when you exhale, no matter how hard you exhale, no matter how much you exhale, there will still be a tiny resonance of oxygen in the body. No matter how hard you exhale, no matter how much you pump out. And you can call it, you can call it a, what's the word? I don't want to say prison. You can call it a barrier, so to speak. So the soul, so to speak, or the resonance of the soul doesn't escape too much. Sure, like I said, your exhale goes around the world and comes right back to you, right? So look at that as a string. So your exact exhale right now, there's factors of that, of your essence, so to speak, is traveling all around the world. coming right back to you. Now, within that essence, there's some parts of your DNA still in your exhale, right? And it's traveling all particles around. And look at that as one huge string, one huge factor, a huge connection, if you will, that has seen, touched, experienced everything. Now, that you can call your astral body. Now, that you can call more of the light body, and the light body's resonance and experience through everything. Literally. That's why they say your thoughts are not your thoughts. They come in, they go out, they come in, they go out. So are they truly your thoughts? No, they're not. What's the black stone in the ring? It's actually black onyx. Alright, so Ronaldo wants to go live. Greetings.
Greetings, Grand Risings.
Grand Rising, brother. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. How are you?
Electric and well. Always growing.
Awesome. So I'm not too familiar with the social medias. I thought if I push the button request to join live, like I'd be watching you live, not actually join it live.
Well, you're familiar with human to human, right? That's more important.
For sure.
Do you want to add to the topic, or do you have any questions, even about mental breathwork in general?
I have several questions. I'm going through a great journey. But at the time, I wouldn't want to take up of the time, or take up your time with the message you're sharing right now. So
No, it's okay. If you just let it loose. If you have one or two questions or one or two inputs about what's been said already, feel free to share.
Let's see. If I may, right now I'm on the spot. I'll just type it, and if you get to it,
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. Understand, brother. Have a wonderful day.
Likewise. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.
I did that too. Yeah, guys, if you have any questions or if you want to hop on live, tap in. So going back to those environmental bodies, so how you breathe around a person, let's say someone genuinely makes you feel happy, right? Your breath pattern is changing due to the resonance going back and forth with that sense of happiness. So I challenge you, and this may be a tough challenge for some people, but notice the way you're breathing. Notice the way you're breathing when you're in that joyful resonance with that person, and and feel the contrast when you know for a fact you're in front of someone that is not so joyful and is not resonating at a certain level that you would love to be around more of, in that sense, right? So notice that contrast and remind yourself how you were breathing when you were with the person making you, or co-creating, a happy feeling. That's the right word. They're not making you. At the end of the day, it's a subconscious consent, in a way, that you feel the way you feel, and you allow certain emotions to come through and experience those emotions. Peace be multiplied. Exactly. So one of the things I love doing, a great tip for most of you, whenever you are uncontrollably laughing, and it's a genuine laugh, You can either hold your exhale or just get in the habit of saying, with this breath, I'm accepting more of this feeling. I'm accepting more of this experience, this genuine experience. And I like holding my exhale sometimes, doing that, especially when I'm in the middle of laughing, or just taking that one conscious inhale, one conscious exhale, and saying that I'm breathing more life into this experience. And that way you are training parts of your subconscious that loves the experience. Obviously it does if you have no control over your laughter, right? And you're just letting it out, right? So that's a great alarm. And it also helps build emotional intelligence. See, this is hopefully gives you, and this is only like 3% of the whole aspect of mental breathwork and what alchemy breathwork really is. In that sense, it's more than just, oh, let me breathe in, let me breathe out, let me do this, let me do that. You can do your kundalini, you can do your fire breathing, you can do all that. But how are you breathing when you're talking to somebody? Are you going to be doing fire breathing the whole time? Hey, yeah, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Yeah. Come on. The responses and the body language that is reciprocated back and forth. Yeah, the body language that's reciprocated back and forth. Remember, 80 to 90% of communication in general is non-verbal. And one of the big factors, just like you take all these environmental bodies, right? All these environmental bodies that we went over on the screen all have something to do with air. Just like the cleanliness of a place, a space. You'll notice the air quality is more upkept, right? The cleaner the space, the cleaner the air quality in general. This goes in general. Because the more clutter, any cluttered places you go into, you feel it. You feel it. It messes with your breathing. You feel it. You can't debate me on that one. You really, really feel it. So that air, that foundational resonance of air, and not just air, of course, this goes way beyond the physical at this point. We're talking about the energetics, but the energetics back and forth, they're one and the same, all right? Some people like to say that get to the point where you don't need the breath at all. Yeah, to a certain extent, but at the same time, your astral body is breathing back and forth. All right, that's when someone says that you don't need breath at all, or or they're viewing breath in a sense where it's not the end all to all that is. They're missing the main point, and they're viewing breath in a one-dimensional way. And that's an issue actually, because they can't see the full spectrum of connection that allows the expansion to really take fold and honor, and keyword honor, just like that. And in the beginning, God breathed life into man. Breath, life. It wasn't just a breath alone, it was life. Breath was the carrier to the life into man. Like, that's how I keep on telling everyone that breath is the extension of spirit. Breath isn't fully the spirit, but it is the extension of spirit. And shoot, if breath is the extension of spirit, then breath is also the extension of our auric body. Breath is also the extension of our thoughts. Breath is also the extension of our communicative abilities beyond verbal communication. Breath is the string, in a sense, to all dimensions of reality at that point, because the spirit is multidimensional, right? So boom, there it is. There it is. Like I said, you can't do fire breathing. You can't do unyana banda, all that stuff while you're talking to somebody. How are you honoring that conversation to the full capacity of utilizing certain breath mechanics and expanding what that experience can truly turn into? And now we talked about all those environmental bodies, right? So let's talk about the experience body. Literally the experiential body. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's say, I'm sure most of us, or some of us, have met that one person that, hey, you're always lucky all the time. You're always lucky all the time. Well, you could say he's breathing more life into his lucky body, if you want to call it that. But try to see the bigger picture here, where I'm going with this, the lucky body. Or someone, hey, someone always had bad luck, if you want to call it that. Well, that person is breathing more life into the bad luck body. See where I'm going with this? So a great marker for anyone, and you can also utilize subconscious releases in this sense. And what do I mean by subconscious releases? Just like we were talking about the laughing, you can also utilize, let's say you just fart randomly. Let's say you take a burp randomly, right? You take I don't know, any subconscious releases you have. That is a great point in time to catch the train. And what do I mean by that? Bring the conscious mind into the train, into the subconscious train. See where I'm going with this? And that's why some people get lost in saying that breath is one-dimensional. So when those subconscious releases is experienced, you just take either a conscious inhale, exhale, or I like to hold the exhale and say, with this breath, I'm accepting more love, gratitude, or whatever you want to input in there around those subconscious releases. And you can utilize that as an alarm, because you have no control over that. That is your subconscious mind, which is always, quote unquote, king, in my opinion, in my experience as well. Subconscious is king. The subconscious could care less about time. Subconscious could care less about certain experiences that the conscious mind loves to waste energy on, right? Utilizing the glitch, exactly. When you randomly sneeze, that's a subconscious release. And let this be a great point in showing you that breath is not one-dimensional. A lot of people like to say it, and a lot of people like to say that breath is not the end all. No, breath is not the end all in the physical, because that's where you hit the wall, and you can't see past the whole aspect of the astral body is breathing. The mental thinking mind body is breathing. The electrical body is breathing. How is it breathing? Contrast. Contrast shows us that everything is breathing. You can take a physical object, no matter what it is, smash it to the wall. That physical object could be like, oh, finally, a release. What's that? That's an exhale. Because the inhale constructed that physical body, right? And that is expanding. Going back into that quote by Swami Ramalinga that says that, don't trust the man that only breathes through the nose, right? Yeah, don't trust the man that only breathes or only thinks breath in a one-dimensional way. I don't trust that man. Hell no. Because if you're telling me my breath only goes this far, and sure, there's a cosmic breath, well, you're still talking about breath at this point. At this point, right? So why aren't we seeing the full connection here? If my breath travels all around the world and comes back to me, the magnetic breath, right? The magnetic body. It's part of the magnetic body. It's part of the magnetic highway. Just like most people in breath family is experiencing, how most of them is attracting their tribe, so to speak, at a quantum powerful level. And it's a beautiful thing to see. I don't say too much about it. sit back and I'm like, wow, I wonder if most of them realize what's happening here, in that sense. And when we breathe in unison, it's bigger than us. It's way bigger than us. Now we're breathing in unison into a bigger body, so to speak. Powerful. Powerful. So just to expand even more, when you're going back and forth with a person, that is your social body. That's your social body, if you want to call it that. So how is your social body breathing in any environmental spaces? It's just like you saw with the environmental bodies that I was showing earlier. Cortisol level in general, whenever you're around people, in general, cortisol levels rise most of the time. And these studies, I want them to be done on people who actually do breath work and see what happens if, when they come together, right? That's why in some of my talks, when I do talk in public, just like at the Manifestival, we go straight into the breath first. So everyone just is on point with their breath and harmonization at least. And then we start talking. And it makes a huge shift, and it gives everyone a deeper, no matter even it's like a 5-minute breath, it just gives everyone a deeper appreciation for the words that's coming out of your mouth. That's one. And man, the social body, going back to the social body. So that goes to show you how powerful in general, when you're in groups, how big of a shift it has on you personally, on that one individual. Now, some people don't like going into crowds because either they don't know how to breathe right. And for anyone who deals with social anxiety and stuff of that nature, or they like to keep an arm's length away from crowds in general, if you have no control over that and you have to go in crowds, just honor the fact that everyone is breathing right now. Just like me. You know how big a shift just that one line makes? Everyone around me is breathing. Now, I got like how many minutes now? Now, everyone around me is breathing, just like we're going to go over in the whole mental breathwork journey. I don't want to bombard people too much on the information here. But how do we utilize just that one line and take it up another notch and really harmonize and expand our awareness? Not just us, but just the awareness. And the awareness body. Now we're talking about so many bodies right here, but the awareness body itself, working on that type of body, doesn't matter if you're in a group of people now, this ripples into every single thing you do in general. This ripples into anything you do. Those people could transform into books. Those people could transform into certain experiences in terms of the expansion body, because you're feeding the energy of expansion. You're breathing life into the energy of expansion. See where I'm going with this? Someone has a question. I would like to know about why you have the flower of life behind the necklace and how it came to be. Why do I have the flower of life behind the paradigm necklace? I don't even know how you saw that. So this flower of life has been scalar charged, but the pattern itself, when I was holding it, I actually cried. And that showed me, all this debate going like, oh, the flower of life is the daisy of life, this, that. For me to cry and feel, I could care less what all this, so much chatter about this. Tell me how you feel with the certain energies, because there's so many people that has beautiful experiences, healing experiences with that type of energy. You can get all mathematical, you can get all this and that as much as you want. But for people to say one thing is different from people feeling another thing. And feeling, that's king. That's queen. That goes above and beyond the thinking. Thinking is somewhat dense, but the feeling is not just dense, but the feeling goes all the way tapping into the light, into a lighter sense of body. Since we're talking about bodies here, I'm gonna just title this one Environmental Bodies. Mother Nature runs the world. Exactly. I sent you an email about scalar. Yeah, if you guys are interested. So yeah, talking about environmental bodies, you know, even having a scalar, I'm sure if you guys saw the testimonial of how just having the scalar affects the environment and everyone around it, boom. Especially if you're in an environment that you know, you can't get out of and you want to get out of, and you want to breathe life into that. So put it to you like this. Let's say you're walking. You're doing a simple walking. You're going from point A to point B, right? Now that is your travel body. You're going from point A to point B. Why not utilize that point in time as you're actually traveling? Doesn't matter where you're going, it's still the energy of travel. Even if you're driving somewhere from point A to point B, you're walking, you're going from point A to point B, whatever the case may be. With this breath, I'm accepting more of the energy to travel anywhere in the world I want to without any financial strain, any of that. And get in the habit of just doing that back and forth, because as you're traveling, well, you're not lying to yourself, right? You're actually traveling. You're actually going from point A to point B. That is the power of your subconscious mind and harmonizing with your subconscious mind to get to the truth of the subconscious mind, and utilizing that truth to the most expansive capabilities it can expand to. My brother Joe wants to hop on. Greetings, brother.
My brother.
Where
What's
are
going
you?
on?
South Point?
No, I'm at the park on 3rd and Ocean.
I might go meet you there after this.
Come by, man. Come by. I'm just hanging out, dude. Just doing some journaling and gonna check out the beach in a few minutes.
Oh, fire. Okay, yeah, definitely want to come meet up then.
Come by, man. Come by. I'm here just hanging out. It's beautiful, laying in the grass. It's great. How are you, brother? How's your morning?
My rising has been exquisite, talking about environmental bodies. And yeah, do you want to add to the topic or any questions? Or what do you think so far of what I've said? Because I went on a tangent.
Yeah, I've been listening. I've been so tapped into it, man. And what's coming up for me is what you always talk about is harmonizing. Is harmonizing these different bodies to connect, just like this travel example. It's like if you're going to walk from point A to point B, why not tap in subconsciously to a different part of the world and making that real? And it all starts with breath, right? So I find it fascinating when you can look at the breath multidimensionally as you're talking about. And another thing that came up for me is how you're talking about the astral connection to breath, right? And how it's truly connected to spirit. And one thing that I'll share is, this is not in any kind of morbid way, but I was with my grandma for her very last breaths, Devon. And, she lived a full life and one of the most beautiful souls ever. And when she was in hospice and she was, had her last few days, that last moment of her breath, like when she passed into the next dimension, right? You can see like her face, her body, like it was like something removed from her body, right? Like, and you can just see like when the breath is gone, something else goes too. Like it's really fascinating. So it's like you can actually see it in real time in in a situation like that. So it was fascinating to see, and there really is something more at play with the breath as we go on to death.
Thank you for sharing that powerful moment, brother.
Yeah, of course, of course. And
And it's powerful. You actually felt that. You felt something leave the body beyond the aspect of breath, right? Because a lot of people like to view breath in a one-dimensional way. Like I was saying, you can't do fire breathing while having a conversation here, right? Like,
right, right,
there's so many layers to it, and you can have fun with it as well. And let's say you're in an environment that is not the best environment of people, right? How do you turn that into fun, where you take the exhale from the environment and shift it in a sense of your internal exhale becomes more efficient of transmuting that external exhale into something even more powerful and more in depth and more expansive as well. Because this whole week in mental breathwork has been about expansion. Have you tapped into that?
I have, man. I watched your 10-minute YouTube video, and I've been anchoring towards that in my meditations, right? Expansion of breath, expansion in my visualizations. That's been powerful.
Have you tried it when you're talking to somebody, like going back and forth with that?
I haven't yet, but now you've reminded me again to tap in and just see that expansion with someone else as we're talking. Yeah. How would you do that? Explain that for a minute. How do you tap into expansion when you're in conversation?
So it goes back into the eye breathing. Remember the eye breathing? How you saw things multiply. So you would bring that same concept into when you're having a regular conversation, but you obviously would utilize your eyes. You would visually do it. And I was going to give an update to the mental breathwork journey too. Another bonus video of how to utilize the mirror, because some people had issues visualizing themselves, which there's also deep trauma in that sense as well. How we view ourselves. Some people don't want to see themselves naked. That type of thing. When we were born naked, right? So that it goes so deep into certain traumas that I never really thought about it until we had the integration day on Friday, and everyone was giving me their experiences with it, and they had issues. The most prominent issue, the only issue they had, was the visualization of themselves. So utilizing a mirror is so powerful as well in terms of that expansion, and then utilizing that image, because you can also use your phone camera. I'm gonna put that on there as well. Just use on your phone camera to see yourself expand back and forth with the breath, and then implementing that like throughout the day as much as you can in that one single focus.
I love that, man. I love it. It's so powerful when you start integrating this stuff and harmonizing with these bigger concepts, and you do it on the micro level within our breath. That's when you start to make the real changes. It's so fascinating, man, how breath and the subconscious is so intertwined with our conscious moments going on every day. But it's the awareness, right? It's just sometimes it's just like you said, you can't do fire breath when you're talking to people. You can't meditate 24/7, right? You can't have just focused breaths while you're sitting down in silence every day. So the practice of meditation, the practice of breath work is so we can integrate it into our everyday lives, in the workplace and in conversation. And it's just like the more that you can be reminded about it and to build awareness around it, you really do build this muscle, and that's so powerful, And what's so cool is there's not one practice, there's not one modality to it. It can be in everyday life, as you always talk about. It can be in exercise, it can be in going for walks, it can be in sitting meditation, it can be in a breathwork or yoga class. So it's just really powerful, man, when you just continue going on this journey and on this path of alignment and harmonizing and expansion. It's It's beautiful.
Fire, brother. It gets better with every breath. That's the
Yeah.
motto.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to tonight. Gonna be at the sound healing breathwork session, so that'll be fun.
Yes. If you're here in Miami and you want to come by, definitely check it out. Link is in the bio. It's starting at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's a scalar sound bath, multiple sound bowl healers. And this session, we're definitely going to be doing some quantum breathing. I've yet to do it in a big group like this, so I'm really pumped for that.
Awesome. I'm excited for it, man. So, yeah, man, I'm gonna be hanging out here for the next few hours here on 3rd and Ocean.
Okay.
Swing by if you want.
I will. All right, I'll text you. All right, peace.
Bye.
Beautiful. Does anybody else want to hop on live here? I think we have a couple minutes left here. Any questions? I'm going to the one here in London. Wish I was in Miami with you guys. Okay, I've just started breath work and I'm learning the Ujjayi breath. Yeah, Ujjayi is great. It's great. Yeah. So something different. I guess this was a question. Yeah, something different with alchemy, or something to utilize. An additional tool with alchemy breathwork is utilizing it in real time beyond the sit down session, bringing what you can do in the sit down session in expansive awareness. And it's very trippy when I work with people who have done lots of plant medicines and utilizing some of these practices, and it's like they're utilizing, integrating what they saw in the plant medicine into their everyday life. Even with the expansion, the mental breath work is definitely something um, that I hear a lot in the plant medicine spaces of what people experience. So how can you utilize it in real time? Like I said, you can't do fire breathing or certain types of breath work while talking to somebody, and you can really not feel drained as well. You know, that's a beautiful, powerful way of also protecting your energy as well and not feel drained, because you can be on the healthiest diet known to man and still be drained all the time and stuff like that. All depends on your breathing pattern. You know, that's one of the main things. I'm going to make a little reel. They talk about the 4 ways of elimination in the body. It's respiration, urination, I forgot the other ones or whatever. And the 5th one they're forgetting is emotional. The emotional body. How are we exercising that? And that's super important. And that's one of the key things. A lot of these diets or fasts, so to speak, whatever diet you're on, the breath is a powerful vehicle to add into your toolbox for sure, because it just makes everything more efficient, energy wise, utilizing it more efficiently as well, and implementing some emotional healing energy. And when you do that, you know, you'll start to notice you'll need to eat less in general as well, but you'll eat more efficiently. That's what happens, because when your emotional body is running efficiently, you can absorb more nutrients from your foods. You can absorb more healing experiences from your plant medicines, whatever the case may be. What are the 5 bodies? No, I'm talking I'm talking about some other things here. All right, I'm so aware of the glitch. It helps my spirit take over. All is one and one is all. I like that. Yes, I've been observing my breath pattern when I'm triggered and angry. All right. I always say diet begins with the word die. I prefer healthy habits or something else. I like to say lifestyle. Or the Rastas, we like to say, the Aitel Rastas, we like to say liberty. How to stop drinking as a vegan. Oh, see, someone here has a drinking problem and they're quote unquote vegan, right? Breath. See, a lot of people don't realize you're not just addicted to the actual substance, whatever the case may be. You are addicted to the breathing pattern. You are addicted to the breathing pattern that substance has a relationship to. Now, smoking in general is connected to grief, because the lungs in Chinese medicine, as they say, hold grief, right? So, especially people who smoke cigarettes and stuff like that, there's definitely an in-depth connection to some type of grief in either their childhood. Most likely, most of the cases, it's definitely been related to childhood. And when I do something like the flame breath, or expansive awareness, or some type of mental breathwork practice with the flame breathing. See, that's another thing with alchemy. Like, there's so many mix and matches and puzzles that you can combine and have fun with. That's the point, right? And when the crying starts to happen and the release starts to happen, um, they definitely tie it down to their childhood. All right, someone wants to go live here. Greetings.
Hi.
Hey there.
So, I wanted to ask, when you close your eyes and you can see, if you're a really creative person, you can see so many things behind your eyelids or in your mind, or I don't actually know exactly where it is. But you know, you can see it's like a kaleidoscope, or like changing mandalas, or even like different worlds, or even creature concepts. Like, you can see all these things just by closing your eyes. So, I guess I'm wondering, is there a way to like utilize that, or is there a certain breath you could utilize with that, or should you like ease into that and just like see everything and just be there because that's just what is, or should you try to control it or use it in a better way?
Yeah, so going back to the aspect of control, it's not like you're controlling it. I like to say you're aligning with it. So when people say that deep within their breathwork practice in general, and they see certain colors and stuff like that, I like to say, hey, utilize that as a signal from the body giving you certain information, because that's what it is, internal information, and take that as a journey. So the next time you go into a deep practice like that, just remember the certain colors you were seeing, and start all over again within that. And that might take you even in a deeper journey, because again, the subconscious mind and the conscious mind doesn't perceive time the same way. The subconscious mind is like, oh, we're starting off where we left at that point in time, and we're taking a deeper journey in that sense. And that also helps build focus, and will give you even more in-depth information of what is happening internally, and where the internal resonance of spirit wants to bring you. So don't look at it as control in a sense, but more so I'm aligning with certain information that the body internally is giving me. Light codes, if you want to put it like that, or just taking, uh, the whole body is made of light in the sense. We are light beings, as they say, crystalline beings, and even scientists themselves are saying this. So light in itself has information, and that information itself can be explored on at an in-depth level. And that, the deeper you go, I've had experiences when I do that, it leads me to another color, and then the more I focus on just that one aspect, the deeper it brings me into certain places. Those colors might transform into places. Those colors might transform into what feels like a 10-minute experience, that you're somewhere else in your with your body somewhere else, and having a different experience. That 10-minute experience was actually like a 3-second thing that you're experiencing, and that goes deep. And that also ties into the whole mental breathwork practice as well. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, So thank you.
Fire. All right, gonna hop off here because I'm literally hitting the time limit. And what's your name? I didn't get your name.
My name is Tatiana.
Tatiana. Thank you for hopping on, Tatiana, and you're welcome on the live anytime. All
Thank
right.
you.
Peace and blessings, everyone.